What's going on, everybody? I go by the name of Kari, and I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on SneakerPhetish. It's hard to believe it's been over 2 years already since we lost Kobe and Gigi Bryant along with everyone else involved in that horrific plane crash. Now, obviously, since that happened, we've seen a lot of ups and downs involving Nike, the Kobe Bryant estate, and Vanessa Bryant. Today, we're taking a look at a very special sneaker that was finally released after a lot of back and forth and negotiations between the estate of Kobe Bryant, Vanessa Bryant, and Nike. I got a lot of things to say about this one and a lot of thoughts, but my first one is this is probably the best letdown of 2022. Without further ado, let's get into it. Boom. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Nike Kobe 6 Protro MAMBACITA Sweet 16. First of all, you don't have to adjust your sets. You don't have to adjust your resolution. This is just a really small shoe. Shout out to the homie Key to Your Soul. If you guys aren't familiar with her, she was recently featured on the Sneakers app and does some phenomenal outfits and has a collection that a lot of us are very jealous of. She actually hit on these sneakers on the Sneakers app and was gracious enough to let me check out her pair. So once again, Key, thank you for that. Now, luckily, even though these are a size 5, they're a small size. These are the exact same shoe as these were in men's sizing. So there wasn't a differentiation with grade school or anything. What you see on the size 5 is gonna see what you see on the size 15. All right, first impressions of the sneaker. It's mid. Like, I'm just gonna go there today. I'm gonna get right into it. Like, absolutely, we're gonna acknowledge rest in peace to Kobe and Gigi Bryant, but listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, would you buy this sneaker if they were still here today? Like, that's gonna be one of the hard questions I want in the back of your mind as we start going through the sneaker. But let's take a little closer look at the shoe and then we'll go from there. All right, starting with the upper of the sneaker here. This is a classic Kobe 6 Protro. We've seen Protros before. We've looked at the Grinches. We've looked at other Protros. Same thing here. Snakeskin on the top of the shoe in black. You have the white swoosh that's painted in the quarter panels of the shoe as well. And I'm not gonna lie, that paint could be better, but it is what it is. Moving down from there, you got the Kobe code here. This spells out Black Mamba. If you guys aren't familiar with the Kobe code, I'm gonna put up the Kobe code on the screen so that you guys can actually translate it. It's kind of like translating Morse code or Braille, and each character represents a different letter. This one spells out Black Mamba. On the back half of the lateral and medial side of the shoe here, you have this really interesting white material here. It feels kind of like a leather, I guess maybe a synthetic leather. It feels a little different, of course, than the regular upper on the shoe here, but gold number 2 inside of that space there for Gigi's number 2 that she played on her basketball team as well. Since these are dedicated to Gigi, you actually get the number 2 on the lateral heel on both of the shoes as well. Taking a top down look at the shoe here, nothing really different as far as Kobe 6 Protros go. Snakeskin on the toe box here, white Kobe logo on the tongue. As far as laces here, you're gonna get 2 sets of laces, white with black tips, black with white tips. Now, the black and white color, as we all know, pretty much pays homage to the Mambacita Foundation, the Mamba basketball team Gigi was playing on. Their colors were black and white. The uniforms were, for that matter. And this sneaker paid homage, of course, Sweet 16 to May 1st, which was actually Gigi's 16th birthday. That's when these were slated to drop. Speaking of that Mambacita logo, you have it on the back of this shoe here. This actually says Kobe on the left shoe, and on the right shoe, it says Gigi. Now, I did not bring my black light with me today, but fun fact, if you shine a black light underneath the heel tabs here, it'll actually glow with Kobe's signature right around there, right there. Kobe's signature, kind of handwritten signature that he puts on all of his sneakers. So really, really dope hidden touch on these. I like that. On the outsole of the shoe, Kobe 6 Protro outsole. Very nice traction you get here. Very nice grip with the black Kobe logo on the heel. And on the insole of the shoe here, black insole with this hand-drawn Mambacita with the number 2 with the angel wings and the halo logo. A beautiful tribute to Gigi once again. One thing about the insole I found interesting was how deep the heel cup was on the insole of this shoe. It's really deep. It's really made to hug your heel and really lock it in place. That's dope. I really like that. This insole is also stiff too. It's really, really stiff. So it's not moving anywhere once you got your foot inside of that sneaker. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the Mambacita Sweet 16 Kobe 6 Protro. That is a mouthful for a sneaker. Now, let's get into kind of what happened, kind of a refresher, if you will, about what went down, and then we'll go from there about my personal thoughts about this sneaker. If you guys remember, Kobe signed a 5-year extension with Nike for his signature basketball contract that comprised of a lot of different releases and apparel, things like that he was dropping. Now, here's the thing about Nike basketball. Nike basketball is not the strongest seller when it comes comes to Nike. We all know, it's no secret, that basketball sneakers, including Kobe's, LeBron's, KD's, are not the strongest sellers. That being said, even though a lot of people were outraged when the deal fell through, it made a lot of sense why Nike was willing to leave the deal on the table when they were trying to negotiate with Vanessa Bryant and figure something out. But here's the thing about it. These sneakers went into production in December of 2020. If you look at the size tag, if you were lucky enough to get the shoe, you'll notice that this sneaker actually went into production and ended production over a year ago, well over a year ago. As we all know, Vanessa Bryant got pretty outraged and went to Instagram to voice her concerns very publicly about the way that the Grinch Kobe 6 Protro release went. We all know that was a super popular sneaker, and even though there were a lot more pairs of those than there were of these, Vanessa Bryant still wasn't happy with how many pairs there were and wanted people to have a fair shot at getting a pair that wanted them. So with that outrage, she decided to leave the deal on the table, start her own foundation for Mambacita, and create her own merchandise after trademarking a number of different Kobe and Gigi inspired trademarks and copyrights. While that sounds great and it sounds like something we would all want to rally around and support, unfortunately, when the merchandise came out for the Mambacita Foundation stuff, it was way too expensive and nobody was trying to pay $300 for a hoodie. Personally, I felt like, I guess this is just for their rich friends out in California to support, because it certainly isn't for the regular consumers or the people that were buying the Kobe sneakers, because I didn't really see many people at all spending $200, $300, $50, $400 for those sweatsuits and hoodies, myself included. So what I'm guessing happened is that the sell-through wasn't what they anticipated it would be. They weren't making as much money as they wanted to make, and so they ended up renegotiating with Nike to restart their partnership with Kobe Bryant and the Kobe Bryant estate. Sounds good, right? Well, the problem was that by the time that contract was reinstated, these sneakers were already made, and for whatever reason, Nike decided that even though there was all that outrage over the Grinches, which there were, I believe, more pairs of the Grinches than there were of these. Don't quote me on that, because these days I don't know about stock numbers or anything like that. But because of that, for whatever reason, Nike felt like this needed to be a very limited edition special drop, which is fine, but the timing was just really awful, considering that Vanessa's problem with the Grinches was accessibility, and the way that they dropped these sneakers was exclusive access only on the Sneakers app. Now, with that being said, it seems like a good amount of people got access. It was rumored that there were somewhere between 90 and 100,000 pairs of these sneakers that went out, but I mean, come on, compared to the demand on this sneaker, that's a drop in the bucket. I'm sure well over 1 million people would have loved to get their hands on these sneakers, which is why these are going for crazy numbers on the resale markets right now. Numbers that I am not willing to pay for these, even though I would love to have a pair of these in my size. So it seemed to kind of defeat the purpose of why Vanessa Bryant went back to the brand in the first place, because once she came back, the sneakers were still as inaccessible and hard to get as they were before she left the brand. So what was really accomplished here? I mean, granted, at least the sneaker itself did drop, which means that number one, Nike made their money back on making this sneaker, so it didn't sit in a warehouse, even though Foot Patrol released these a year ago and that was a whole fiasco. Vanessa Bryant and the Kobe estate got their fair share of the deal and they probably got their bag of money. But from the consumer standpoint, we're still just as frustrated, because there's a lot of real deal Kobe fans that still weren't able to get their hands on these. And unfortunately, that little period of we're not reselling Kobe sneakers is long in the past now. So it's open season on reselling Kobe sneakers once again for as much money as you can possibly get for them. Seems like everybody's conscience got cleared once we got away from Kobe's passing long enough. And that's why I call these the best letdown of 2022. It's a great shoe. I think it pays really nice homage to Gigi, may she rest. It pays homage to Kobe, may he rest. I think it's a really good shoe. Like I mentioned, I think that the shoe is kind of mid aesthetically. Now, the story in the shoe I think is phenomenal, but again, like, if this sneaker came out while Gigi and Kobe were still here, I'm pretty sure that this sneaker, number one, would not have sold the way that it did. Number two, would not be worth nearly as much money on the resale market as it is. And I get it. Posthumous sneakers go up in value. We saw it happen with Virgil Abloh. People were trying to get $10,000 for the Chicago ones. It was insanity. But at the end of the day, it's not like a bad shoe. Like I said, I mean, it's a decent looking shoe, which is kind of mid for me aesthetically. But that's just me. I am glad that the sneaker dropped. I am glad a lot of people were able to get their hands on them. But how is it that the Raptor 4 got a better treatment and rollout based on contract negotiations and problems with Drake than this sneaker did with Kobe Bryant? I mean, for the Raptor 4s, we literally got two different versions of that sneaker because of Drake's contract negotiations falling through. They made an entire new run of the shoe that didn't have Drake's signature on the tongue and dropped those as a general release, then ran it back and gave us another shock drop of the version with Drake's signature on the tongue later on? Why is it that we couldn't get 2 iterations or 2 different runs of this sneaker, one for before when the contract ran out, and then another one for after the contract was reinstated? I even would have waited for them to delay the release if it meant that we were going to get double the amount of pairs of this shoe, similar to what we got with the Raptor 4s, but we didn't get that. It just felt like kind of an afterthought. It just really felt like Nike was like, all right, cool, now we can go ahead and just sell them shoes that we made, but we're not gonna make any more. I don't know anybody that would have been upset about the brand making more of this shoe, so why not just make more of these? I mean, especially if you have like a year and a half to 2 years to do it. Anyway, I'm not the brand, I'm not in Beaverton, I don't know what goes on there, but what I will say is, salute to everybody that was able to get the shoe. May everyone involved in that tragic accident rest in peace. Thankfully, the legacy of Gigi and Kobe continues to live on, and I've already seen a lot of you guys rocking these proudly on your feet. So that's pretty much all that I have to say about these. With that said, it's time for you guys to sound off down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about the Kobe 6 Protro Mambacita Sweet 16. Were you guys one of the lucky ones to be able to get exclusive access? Did you win one of those few raffles that were out there that were very few and far between? Or, like me, did you take the L on this sneaker? Or were these just a hard pass for you? Sound off down below. Let me know. Of course, write it down in the comments. Make sure that you click on that subscribe button so we can welcome you into the Sneaker Fetish family, to make sure you don't miss out on any more heat that comes through like these, because I guarantee you I got a lot more heat on the way. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me here today on Sneaker Fetish, taking a look at these with me, unboxing them with me for a couple of minutes. I go by the name of Kari. This is the Kobe 6 Protro Mambacita Sweet 16, and until next time, I'm out.